Listen, when you choose to walk with God, you will lose a lot of friends. You know those friends that you used to hang out with, that used to go drinking and smoking and partying with and talking about nonsense? Yeah, when you choose to walk the path of God, when you put God first in everything you do, those people are not going to want to be around you much anymore. And the thing is, they will look at you and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you. You're doing so great. I'm so glad you found God." But then they don't want anything to do with you after that. Have you noticed this? I know I noticed this in my life. And we have to stand strong in our faith either way. Like, we can't go back to doing the old things that we used to do. When we choose to walk with God, we truly have to walk with God, even if we lose our friends, even if we don't, have anyone to hang out with, even if we feel the temptations to go back to doing the things that we used to do. We have to stand strong in our faith and not go back to doing those things. And if you've truly been saved, then you won't want to go back to doing those things anyways. I know that's what happened with me, but it was kind of this on and off thing. And let me know in the comments if any of you guys noticed this. So when you first start to want to live for God and stop sinning and doing the things that you used to do, it's like this 1 foot in, 1 foot out sort of thing. Like, you keep doing the things that you used to do even though you don't want to do them. And it's like a voice inside of you that's telling you, stop doing that, stop going back in those negative environments, stop hanging out with those people. And you kind of continue to go back for a little while, maybe for a few months, maybe for a couple of years. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's this sort of lukewarm sort of lifestyle that you hear people talk about. And we have to develop the strength to not go back just because we feel lonely, just because we want someone to hang out with, just because we want to feel accepted, just because we don't have any friends anymore. We have to stay straight on the narrow path and not get distracted by the ways of the world. Because it says in the Bible, when you have experienced God and then you go back to your old ways, you're basically in for a lot of suffering. Because the ways of the world lead to death. The ways of the world lead to destruction. The ways of the world are not benefiting our spirit. They're only benefiting our flesh. And our flesh is temporary. Our flesh is only going back into the soil, into the grave, into the dirt. And our spirit is what is eternal. And that is what the Bible means when it says, if we believe in God, we will have everlasting life. Because if you're identified with the flesh, that means you're identified with that which is going to die. But if you're identified with the Spirit, that means you're identified with that which is eternal. And a lot of people, let's let this car go by. See, I'm walking around here at the park here. A lot of people say that they believe in God. They say that they believe in Jesus, but they don't walk the way that he instructed us to walk. I was just reading 1 John, and in 1 John, it's very straightforward about walking the way that Jesus walked and not sinning. I'm going to make a video with my whiteboard and really break this down with all of the verses and everything, because this is so important that we realize that we can't just say we believe in God and expect to, be saved. There's a lot more to it. We have to truly live the way that Jesus taught, and we can't do it through willpower. The flesh is weak. We can't do it through willpower. We can only do it through trusting in the Spirit. If you try to do it through willpower, you'll notice that you'll keep going back, keep going back, keep going back. Like I said, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Because you may have not truly given your life to God. You may have not truly surrendered and yielded to the will of the Most High, to the will of our Creator. And you have to look within yourself and do some introspection and ask if you've truly given your life up to God, or if you're just, living this sort of lukewarm lifestyle, maybe just for, social gain. So other people will see you in a certain way, or perhaps you're just not ready within yourself. But that's okay. That's why you have to do the introspection and be honest with yourself. Introspection means analyzing yourself and seeing what you're doing, why you're doing it, and being honest with yourself, self-honesty. Now, a lot of friends that you used to hang out with, like I said, they all act like they're happy for you and proud of you, but they don't want to hang out with you anymore because you don't want to go drinking. You don't want to go smoking. You don't want to go sit around and gossip and talk about a bunch of nonsense of what's going on in the world. And no, you're now hungry for spiritual fruit, not fleshly fruit. You're hungry for the things of the Spirit. And if you want to live a life for the Spirit, then you have to sacrifice some of the things that you used to do. And that requires complete and total surrender and yielding to the Holy Spirit, to God, because your flesh isn't strong enough to overcome those temptations, those things that you used to do, those addictions, those patterns, those compulsions. You have to truly give yourself up, because the Holy Spirit is the only thing that can fight those battles. And for me, I remember I used to go back to my town where I graduated from. I used to hang out with my friends. I used to smoke. I used to drink. I used to, keep going back. I would go back like every weekend. I would go to where I lived, to my mom's house. I was like 18, 19 at the time. I talk about this in my story. It's like a 58-minute video. I'll put it up here if you want to watch it. It's my whole story, how I found God. But I used to go back to my friend's house, smoke and drink, hang out, party on the weekends, and then go back home. And then like on my drive home, I'd be sitting there thinking like, why do I keep going back and hanging out with these people? Nothing against them. I love them. I still do. But I knew that wasn't the environment for me. I knew I was here to do God's work. I knew I wasn't here to just keep going back and just doing a bunch of nonsense, talking a bunch of nonsense. I remember one day I was sitting in one of my friend's houses. They threw a little party, and everybody was drunk and acting foolish and talking a bunch of nonsense. And I'm just sitting there in the room, like the house is trashed. There's beer bottles everywhere. I'm just sitting there like, what am I doing here? Why do I keep coming back? And after that, actually, I stopped going back. And I lost all of those friends, those people that I used to hang out with. Now, a lot of them, they look up to me now. They look up to me, and they're proud of me. And, they respect me. But we don't really hang out anymore because there's no reason to. They still do the same things. They play their video games, they go out and party on the weekends, they smoke weed, they do all these things that no longer interest me. I don't even have a desire for these things anymore. Some of you may be at this point in your life where you want to keep going back and hanging out with those people and hanging out in that crowd and that environment. It's not adding any value to your life. So how do you overcome it? How do you stop going back? Well, some of you might have to keep going back for a little while until you get into a point where, like I was, when you're sitting there and you realize that this is useless. These people are just wasting their lives. You're sitting there watching. You're like the observer. You're just watching. You're like, why do I keep coming back here? There's no use to me coming here. So maybe some of you guys watching this video, your friends will invite you to a party. You'll go. Maybe a bar somewhere. I don't know. You'll go. I want you to observe and say, is this what God has planned for my life? Is this the environment that I want to be in? And then, like I said, introspection, be honest with yourself. You'll know. Listen to your conscience. Your conscience will tell you. It'll tell you. It'll be like, look, you're not supposed to be here. And you'll feel that tug in your spirit. You're like, man, I know it's true. Why do I keep coming back? Trust me, you'll see. You'll see. And a lot of you guys know this is resonating with your spirit. And, I'm sending you, prayers, blessings. The power of God be with you. His grace, His glory. And know that there's nothing in the world that can compare to it. None of the pleasures of the world. Keep going back and feeding your flesh. It can't compare to the power of God once you truly give your life to God. That doesn't mean everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows. It's going to be easy. No. This path requires self-discipline. But the fruits of the Spirit are way more fulfilling than the fruits of the flesh. All right? That's all for this video. If you gain value, make sure you hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. I'm posting videos consistently. And leave a comment as to how this resonated with you if you're dealing with the same situation in your life. All right? Much peace and love. I'll see you in the next video.